Tales from the shit. Needless to say, it wasn't a holly jolly Christmas that year. Oh, hey, tripod. You here for the Christmas story? Where's my holiday cheer? Well, I don't really have any. You see, when I was a kid, due to a unfortunate typo, I didn't get visited by Santa. I got visited by Satan. What happened then? Well, I lost a couple games of dice and here I am. The Night Obama Sent Me to Gitmo. A Testimony by H. Lovejoy. This recording was discovered post-bowel movement by the prison sifter. Parts were ruined by fecal matter, so segments of Mr. Lovejoy's conversations with his lawyer are missing. Oh, my living arrangements? You mean where I bed down? It sucks. My cell is humid as fuck, there's lots of bugs, and it's dirty. It's a fucking prison, man. Like in the movies, a fucking prison. The rest of the story? What, you really mean it? You want it all? You're really my lawyer? No bullshit or cattle prods? Wait, you brought me go powder? What kind of lawyer are you? Oh, let me get one of your cards. Woo! Yeah, baby. Just like Ric Flair. Oh, God, that's good. Just what I needed. Thanks, man. What did you want again? Oh, okay. Let's start with the basics. My name is Lovejoy. Hubert Humphrey Lovejoy. That's what my mama named me, my mama being my grandmama. My birth mama ran off. But anyway, I am an American citizen, born and raised, and I'm currently being held in Guantanamo Bay Detention Facility on charges of domestic terrorism. That and something like plotting to overthrow the federal government, whatever that's called. I'm sure this won't cast me in the best of lights, but I've always planned on pleading guilty. Only problem is these sons of bitches won't give me no trial. One quick thing, and I'm going to tell you this, friend, because you seem like you're on the level, and I'm not just saying that because you set me up with all that snow. Point is, don't let this hick accent fool you, buddy. I'm actually a smart fella. Once you get that, you'll understand why the feds want me here. Smart people are dangerous. That's right, dangerous. In their own kind of way. Now, I've done a lot of things in my life I'm ashamed of, but most of those had to do with pussy. I'm not like the rest of these guys, man. The ones chasing more money. I'm after the lifestyle. The outlaw lifestyle. They can keep the cash, rich bastards. That's who runs the show, you know. Those guys with money. Them and the Illuminati. How'd I get in here? Well, that's easy. Barack Hussein Obama abducted me in one of his stealth helicopters and brought me here. How'd I know it was him? Oh, that's easy too. I know Barry all right, and that stealth helicopter shit is totally his style. The man's smooth. No denying it. Yeah, I'm sure it was the president. Don't look at me like that. I'm not crazy, man. I know things. I know it might surprise you to find out I'm buddies with the president, but we go way back. Yes, the President of the United States of America. The greatest country on earth. Yes, sir. I still believe that 100%, even after being stuck here in this black site. Repeat his name. What for? Okay, Barack Hussein Obama. Of course, when I first met him on the south side of Chicago, he was going by Barry, but that was in the 80s. I grew up in the southern part of the state. That's where the accent comes from, but moved north after I started moving weight. Back then, though, I was way heavy into being a skinhead, a Nazi. I was shouting white power, shaving my head, all that stupid shit. Red laces, whatever. Anyway, we were a mix of Aryans and motorcycle enthusiasts, probably the safest way to put it. As far as numbers went, weren't many of us really, maybe 20 or so. Wasn't much of a movement, but I ended up running the crew. But I started hearing about this new guy, this lawyer, like moving in, you know, like making power plays for control of the projects. At first I couldn't believe it. A lawyer? Seriously? So anyway, I heard about this lawyer, Barry, like getting the gangs together and shit, like uniting the tribes. See, Us whites was always a minority over there anyway, so with the gangs getting together under Barry, we were gonna be ruined. We'd lose our slice for sure and maybe our asses. Either way, the property values was fucked. Know what I'm saying? So a couple weeks later, this guy shows up in a Michael Jackson jacket. You know what I mean. The zippers, man. It had all these zippers. But that shit was cool back then among certain demographics. Anyway, this guy walks in, tall as hell, zipper jacket, big fro, and I'm talking great hair, man. Beautiful. So this guy is standing there in the clubhouse of the Aryan Brotherhood, and he says, "I'm Barry Obama's envoy." Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. We're like, envoy? What the fuck does that even mean? Like, hang on, man, give us a second to look that shit up. You just play with your zippers or something. I'll never forget it, man. Never forget it. He said, "I'm Barry Obama's envoy. He wants to meet with you next Wednesday, 8 p.m. If that time is not agreeable, perhaps he will meet you someplace else. Perhaps for pizza." Hang on, man. I'll get to that. The pizza is important. But this guy, though, the envoy, tells us Barry Obama has a proposition for us and that we needed to meet him at such and such time and all this other stuff, right? He didn't even say not to bring any guns, and that was something you specified. Anyway, when the envoy was there, things weren't popping, you know? We didn't really have a full house that night. Terry had to work, Brian was on parole, so I had to tell everyone what was going on. I couldn't do that till bowling night, which was Tuesday. I made sure to let everyone get some suds in them and told them what was up. When I started discussing business, they understood what was at stake. Everyone, and I mean everyone, understood the chance to maintain a bit of the trade with Barry was better than getting muscled out or put in the ground. Barry didn't mess around, man. His reputation is what gave us the fear. Fuck yeah, we were afraid of him. You never heard of the almighty 8th Street Lord's Disciple Kings? Whole crew was taken out, and those cats lived in an apartment building, in the projects. Know what I'm saying? There was a lot of them, that's what I'm getting at. They had whole families crammed in there, man. Now, when it comes to the deed, thought I'd get to that before you ask. When it comes to the deed, nobody knows for sure how it happened. It's like an urban legend. Those people were disappeared, man. Now, while I was in county waiting to be transferred, unrelated crime, my cellie told me about some rumor he'd heard. He said that he'd heard Barry sliced up the leader with a pizza cutter at a fundraiser. Can you imagine? Had it glossed up as an accident. Even got a picture in the paper waiting for the ambulance. Covered in blood. Made himself look like a fucking hero for cutting some kid. Hey, I see you laughing, but think about it, man. That's what real fucking power looks like. When you can get away with a murder that brutal, in public, for charity. I mean, holy shit. That's untouchable. Well, what happened next was he took the rest of them out. He had it planned all along, you see. He's smart. Where'd he do it? Easy, man, I'm getting to it. That kid he gutted with the pizza cutter? Gutted, sliced, nobody knows for sure, man. Just follow along here. After that shit went down, I heard that Barry outsourced some contract pros from Arkansas to take out the rest of the gang at the funeral. That's some cold-blooded Shakespeare shit. No, I've never read it, but that doesn't matter, man. That's what it was. Straight up. We did not want to fuck with that. What did I do? That's easy, man. I borrowed my dad's gun. Seemed like the smartest thing to do. I mean, who knows what we'd be walking into? And that thing about pizza? Obviously a threat. I mean, I didn't understand it at the time, but there was something about the way he said it. For pizza. I get shivers today, man. Ominous, that's what it was. Ominous. So I got a hold of my dad's piece and shoved it down in my waistband real gangster-like. Luckily for me, I forgot to cock the fucking thing. So we get on our bikes and go to the meet. Ended up being in this warehouse, man. So we get there and it's this big party with all these college kids and shit. Black, white, and the gooks, the Asiatics. Whatever, man. Didn't mean nothing. I'm trying here. The point I'm making is that everyone was there, man, just living it up and having a good time. We were a bit on the pale side, though, and with our leathers and shaved heads, well, let's just say we stuck out like a sore thumb. Nah, Barry didn't spot us. That envoy guy did. Keep in mind, he's dressed exactly the same. Maybe it was his uniform. And all this cat had to do was just like beckon us with his hand, and the crowd parted. So we're standing there, and the people just start to like I said, like parting the waters, man. It's the only way to describe it. So we follow the envoy down some back hall and through to the office area, and there he is. There's Obama, our future president. He was just drinking and smoking and, playing cards. Everybody was in there too, man. Everybody. All his folks. You know what I'm saying? Even the Tao guys. And again, I mean no offense. I love everybody now, man. Everybody. Say, you don't happen to have any more of that go powder, do you? My head's starting to get a little foggy. Old noggin's not what it used to be. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the stuff. Just what the doctor ordered. Hell yeah. So, where was I? Chicago, right? When I met Barry, he was rolling a joint. Nobody really smoked blunts back then. Weed wasn't that great either, not compared to today. Sorry, I didn't know that was for later. Got a little ahead of myself, that's all. Don't tase me, bro. Please don't tase me. Oh, that's right, my lawyer. You're my lawyer. This place changes how you see people, man. Makes you afraid of what will happen next. Shit, I ain't even been in here for very long. Imagine how some of those other guys feel. Not to mention, I actually did what they're accusing me of. That sort of makes it easier, I guess, knowing I had it coming. There's some guys in here that were just scooped up off the opium farms from over there. Obama is holding them all without charge, saying they're terrorists. Bullshit. Those guys are part of the fucking heroin cartel, man. Why do you think there's all these opioid addicts now? They're getting it in the country the same way they used to, back in the 60s. They're flying it in, man, on big cargo planes. I know shit that would blow your mind. Blow your mind. Right, the meat. It was chill. Real chill. Obama kept it simple with us, told you he was smart, and said he was thinking big, like real big, but he needed our help. I couldn't believe it, especially when he started talking about unity, all that shit. I couldn't buy into it, you know? Hell, my own guys would stab each other over $20 in gas. Can you believe it? $20. The cream of the white race. But my guys were like that. Had always been like that. And here's Barry talking soft and holding together the fucking G-Story Rainbow Coalition. How'd he get me to go for it? That's easy. He knew all these people were focused on color, man, so he showed them the only color that mattered. Barry said, Lovejoy, the only color that matters to Barry is green. And he was right. Money makes everything work, man. Everything. Fucking white power was thinking small. Where it's really at, has always been green power, man. Nah, he didn't just buy everyone out. You've got to get inside his head. He did it his style, see? Obama didn't bring gangs to the government. He brought government to the gangs. I'm sure you've seen him smiling on camera all the time, saying he was a community organizer. Know who else was a community organizer? Attila the Hun. Don't worry, I ain't no nerd. Saw it on the History Channel. I do want to say that even back then, he was always raising taxes. You feel me? Taxes, fees, tribute, the price of doing business. I only stayed in the area for a few more years because the taxes kept going up for Barry's services. When that happened, I couldn't afford new bikes every year or take Monique and her kids to Disneyland, shit like that. It was a bummer, man. Life's all about enjoying the finer things, you know? Yeah, it's hard being in here, being caged up in a place like this with no commissary. It's a new thing for me. At least I've only been inside a couple months. Have I seen him since? Who, Barry? Shit, yeah, I have. About a week after I got here, he struts up in the cell block holding this big-ass blunt in his hand. Couldn't believe it. I thought I'd finally snapped, you know, that they got to me. By that point, the guards had been treating me to about 4 days of nonstop Metallica. My neck was a little sore from all that headbanging, and it was hard to hear at first, but Barry comes up to my cell, waves his finger around in a circle, and they cut the music. I was so full of fuck it at that point that, half delirious, I said, "That's a nice blunt, Mr. President. You're rolling a lot better." He shook his head, smiled that Obama smile, and goes, "Shit, Lovejoy, you think the President of the United States rolls his own blunts? My blunt guy has blunt guys." I heard they were giving you master of puppets, huh? That's rough. I started to tell him I didn't mind it much, but he told the guards to unshackle me and shit, and they brought in a couple chairs. Well, he got a chair, I got a collapsible stool. So Barry, smooth as ever, lights his blunt with his presidential Zippo and says, "You know, I did you a favor bringing you here. McConnell still wants to fuck you up for ripping him off on that coke deal." Of course I know Mitch. Can't move shit through Kentucky without greasing his palms. But I want to get one thing clear here. I never rip off nobody. Nobody, okay? Thing is, Mitch McConnell is a fucking snake. Can't trust that guy. Always obstruct him, man. It's all he knows. I didn't even rip him off. He's just really bad at fucking math. All that trickle-down shit, man, it gets to you. Hell, had I known how bad he was at math before I met him, I would have ripped him off. Fact is, I never even got the chance. But Barry seemed to sense my internal conflict, and he asked, "So you know why I brought you here in my silent black helicopter?" There's something about Barry that just makes you feel small, you know? So like a 10-year-old caught in a lie, I said slowly, "'Cause I was planning on taking you out." He smiled wide again, pointed that blunt at me and goes, "That's right, because you were planning on taking me out. Now, why would you want to go to war with old Barry? I thought we were long past all that shit. Lord knows you had plenty of chances to kill me. Is it business?" Now, that's one of the problems with this industry. Everybody always thinks shit is over money. It isn't. Sometimes it's over principle, even if it is misguided. So I told him, "Nah, Barry, it's not about business. I saw on the internet, Breitbart News, that you're planning martial law," and he goes, "Hold up. Martial law? You know how bad for business that would be? Keeping the streets on lockdown? Fuck that. Besides, Barry is ready to quit this gig." I honestly couldn't believe what he was saying, and I was like, "What? You're really giving it up?" He didn't even skip a beat, just said, "Well, to be honest, for a minute I thought about keeping it, but the Illuminati didn't care for that much. It would have been too much work for all involved, lawyers mainly. Besides, I've made it. I've won the game. Now it's time to sit back and watch the show." I knew that was bullshit, you know? Nobody like Obama at his age would be content to sit back and watch. Guys like us, if you got life in you, well, the game's too much fun. Know what I mean? So I says to him, "Watch the show. They asked you to step down, didn't they?" Barry just shook his head and said, "No, Lovejoy, the natties don't ask. I know you never got close to that shit, but you should know that. I was told to move aside in a persuasive way. Well, just so happens I'm one of the few people that knows the only person to shake up Barry Obama was Hillary Clinton." So I laughed and said, "You mean by Clinton?" "Why? Probably because back in the day Hillary took a girl from him, fucked him up, man. I don't know, you know. I don't know the deeper meaning of it all. I'm not a psychastrologist." Well, after I asked him about Clinton, he shook his head no and said, "Watch this. French inhale. Pretty slick, right? I know I've never talked to you about this before, but who do you think the Arkansas professionals were back in the day?" Then, it's like they say, everything clicked. I go, "You mean the Clintons are contract killers?" He just looked at me with so much disappointment, man, like I really let him down. He frowned and said, "No, you idiot. They handled the contracts. They're lawyers, professional contractors." I know that made me sound stupid, but you have to understand he was hotboxing my cell. Anyway, I told him, "Oh, I see now." He stood up and started dusting the ash off the sleeve of his suit. Heard Michelle would beat him with a spoon for that shit. Then he looked to me and said, "You'd think by this point the people of the world would understand lawyers are the scariest motherfuckers on earth. Never will, though. Anyway, I'll give you some good news. Now that I know you're not a threat and just a potato head, I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to ruin you." Now, I never really thought he was going to kill me. Never even considered it. We're friends, you know? But I didn't know what he was getting at, so I asked him, "What do you mean?" Well, Barry takes this long pull off the blunt just to make me wait and goes, "On my last day in office, it's a Friday, I'm going to sign the executive order to hashtag 420 legalize it. I'm sure it'll be a federal holiday eventually. Just think about it. Obama Day. It'd be like a second emancipation, but cooler. None of the sadness. I'll be the coolest president in American history. My place in the book cemented with a pen stroke. Yes, that's what he said, word for word. You can believe me, man. But I just sat there with my mouth open because I knew he was serious. Now, given my look and all my Willie Nelson vibe, I could see how you could think this was good news, this legalization shit. It wasn't. It was horrible. I'd invested my whole retirement into producing good black market weed, and he was about to take my market away. Anyway, I tried my hardest to hide my disappointment and said, "Really? That's great, Mr. President." He just looked at me, grinning that Obama grin, and said, "You never could play poker worth a shit. I know all about those Kush farms you're setting up for the Brotherhood. I know I've ruined you." I didn't even know what to say, so I just sat there. I mean, he was still the president, and I'm just a citizen, you know? Then he goes, "Well, I guess that's all. For old time's sake, I'll give you what's left of this blunt as a solid. Afraid I can't leave you my lighter, though. As they say, regulations is regulations." Then he snuffs the blunt on the cell wall, places it on my bunk, and starts to walk out. He was just about to walk out the door when, without turning around, he goes, "Oh, Lovejoy, one last thing." By that point, I was already grabbing the blunt to see if it had any spark left in it. I was desperate, but I cleared my throat and asked, "What's that, Mr. President?" And he goes, "Taxed, bitch." Just like that. Then he walked out, they closed the door, and that's the last I ever saw of him. Yeah, that's what I said too. Thanks, Obama. Oh, sure. Now can we talk about something I care deeply about? Like, getting me visitors to this place? Nah, not family. I meant like, conjugal.